describes 4 types of people in this world. Those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, those who wonder what happened, and those who don't know anything happened. She learned that people who succeed in life have all these abilities: enthusiasm with purpose, discipline, a willingness to work, serve, and learn, determination, and appreciation of others. Mary Kay Ash doesn't give a lot of dates in her autobiography because she said if she gave dates, you'd be able to figure out how old she was. And she said a woman that will tell her age will tell anything. So I'm not going to give you a lot of dates, she just gives a few. She was born, she's a Texan, and she was born in Hot Wells, Texas, and then later they moved to Houston, Texas. At the age of 7, her father came out of a sanatorium with partially remission tuberculosis, but he was an invalid the rest of his life. So at 7 years old, she was having to take care of her, come home from school, clean house, take care of her father, cook meals. Her older brother and sisters were all grown, and her mother had gotten a really good job as a manager of a restaurant, but she had to work like 14 to 15-hour days. And so if she needed to know how to cook something, her only line to her mom was her phone. But she said her mom, through all those years, told her, you know, you can do it, Mary Kay. And she learned how to do that. She was always very competitive. She made very good grades, and she became involved in public speaking in high school and debate, which actually helped her later in her speaking engagements. She was known as a very good speaker. Right out of high school, which was usually at that time, that was like the late 30s and early 40s, most women just wanted to get married and have kids and be a wife. So she thought she'd hooked the great man. He was a big radio star in Houston, and but he got called off to World War II, and when he came back from World War II, he announced to her that he don't want to be married anymore, and left her with 3 small children. And in the mid-1940s, there was not a lot of jobs for women. She actually got into selling encyclopedias first, and then later Stanley Home Products, because it allowed her to get the kids ready for school, send them off to school, do a few parties in the morning, be back in the afternoon when they got off school, and then what is that?
A sound because it fly up.
It's okay. And so, I'm sorry. So allowed her to get home from school, help them with homework, fix dinner, and then she found a housekeeper that could keep them in the evenings, and she could go do parties, a couple parties in the evenings, and allowed her to take care of her children and also provide, they were actually provided a pretty good life for them. But her 25 years of sales was very frustrating because there was always a glass ceiling for women. She was very good at recruiting and training, and they would have her train these men, and then 6 months later, they would bring them back into the office, promote them above her, and give them twice her salary. And so after 25 years of that, she was fed up. She quit from World Gift, and she decided to sit down frustrated at the kitchen table one day and write a list of what qualities her dream company would have. And so she came up with a list of qualities. People often told her during her sales career, Mary Kay, you're just dreaming, or you're thinking like a woman. She knew that her dream company would be based on a golden rule. She didn't like the competitive way that sales was, where you stepped all over everybody to get ahead. She wanted a company where women could treat each other the way they would want to be treated. And that was her foundation of her company. And she wanted to give women unlimited possibilities. When she was going to start her company, Mary Kay Cosmetics, her accountant told her there's no way this commission schedule to pay your directors and national sales directors is going to work. You're going to be bankrupt within a year. But her husband and her son had worked it out, and she wanted to be fair, commission schedule to her people, and she knew that it would work, so she just ignored them. Her husband, who was actually going to be head of all of her administration things, died 1 month of a massive heart attack at the breakfast table 1 month before her company was about to start. So right after the funeral, she called her children together in the living room and she's like, what do I do? My accountants are saying to recoup my money, what I've invested, which have been pretty much all her life savings. It was less than $10,000, and that's all the money she had. She was looking at having to be bankrupt and having to work again for the rest of her life. And her son said, no, Mom, we think you can do it. We've seen you in sales your entire life. We know if you can make that much money for other people, that if you start your own business, you can do it. So she's not superstitious, she's a really strong Christian. She started her company on September 13th, Friday the 13th, in 1963. She's so unsuperstitious that when they built the big new corporate headquarters in Dallas, which I visited, are unbelievable, she put all her executive offices, including hers, on the 13th floor. To prove to people that I'm a Christian, I'm not superstitious, and I don't feel that. After 2 years, it had a profit. Remember, she started with less than $10,000. It had a profit of over $800,000 in 2 years. And it opened in 1963. In 1968, they were open on the public stock exchange, and she became a millionaire. But in 1978, they suffered a huge tragedy. One of their really beloved sales directors, Sue Vickers in Dallas, was shopping a couple of days before their big seminar, probably for a dress for her speech, and she was kidnapped and murdered like 2 days before. So now there's an annual Go Give award in her honor, and because she was known as Miss Enthusiasm. So everybody in the company nominates somebody for each month, and then they pick out of those 12 months, they vote and decide who's going to be Miss Go Give for that year. And that's the person that, because Mary Kay has an adoptee program, she didn't want people to lose their territories. So you can be on vacation in Hawaii and recruit somebody. You can be visiting your sister or sister-in-law, recruit somebody. And then someone in that town, you set them up under an adopted director, and they help train, even though they're not making any commissions, because they know in other towns, somebody's helping their recruits. So it's a very loving company. Everybody works for each other. You're not allowed to steal customers. You have to ask somebody when you go up and approach them if they've been contacted the last 6 months by another consultant. If they have, then you send them back to that consultant. Even if you've done most of the talking and talked them into recruiting, you send them back to that person to recruit. In the spring of 1985, she realized that with the board of directors and being on the stock market, they were starting to try to break down the Christian principles. They were saying, oh, we don't really need to be based on the golden rule. We don't need to really do this Go Give thing. And she was like, no, it was not going to happen. So my dad actually told me that he remembers on TV in the 80s when they hawked the whole family got together and they hawked put second mortgages on houses, everything they could, bought it all back into a family-owned company, because she said, I want my company 50 years from now to not be changed and to be based on Christian principles and the way I originally created it, and not to be changed depending on work. And actually that was a really smart move, because you all know the stock market over the last 20 or 30 years has been horrible. And so Mary Kay might have even gone bankrupt if they still went on a stock exchange. So they are one of the largest family-owned corporations that are international now. Even though Mary Kay believes that she knows her phenomenal growth is due to, she said, I took God as my partner. He is my partner in my business. She bases everything on, prayer and all her decisions. But she is very welcoming to people from other religions. I've been to seminars, and we have Muslim women, and we have women from all different, diversities, and it's a very loving environment, welcoming to everyone. Today, it's a multi-billion-dollar national family-owned corporation. We have more women that make $1 million than any other company in the U.S. One of our national sales directors that I love is Laura Manfield Banks. If y'all just want to Google her and look up one of her speeches, she's phenomenal just to watch for about 5 minutes. She holds our record. She got $800,000 in commission in 1 month. She holds the record. When the Russia became more free in Romania over there, I think in the 90s, we moved over there and provided a really good option for women to change their lives. And there's a story about a woman getting up in front of the speakers in broken English and saying, first we got freedom and then we got Mary Kay. In China, we're only one of 2 direct companies that they allow in China. And at my last seminar, her son got up on stage and told us, he just got tickled to this. He said that he knows Mary Kay, you know, God, the Lord letting her know this up in heaven because it would just crack her up. But, because she had a really good sense of humor. But you know how in China women are like thrown out in the streets and they're aborted because they can only have 1 child? So when Mary Kay came into China, it was just the women just embraced it. And there were so many women that started, I mean like thousands, hundreds of thousands meeting in Beijing, that the Chinese government, the men got uneasy. So they told Mary Kay that you have to split up between 5 cities. You can't all meet in one city because there was too many women meeting in that one city. It made them uncomfortable. Bumblebees are the ultimate symbol of accomplishment in Mary Kay because what it represents to all women. In the 1970s, aerodynamic engineers studied the bumblebee and discovered that it simply should not be able to fly. Its wings are too weak, its body too heavy for flight. Everything seems to be telling the bumblebee that it cannot get off the ground. And Mary Kay said that she likes to think that our divine creator whispered, you can do it, and so it did. So like all of our national sales directors and our higher people, and she actually had her desk inlaid with gold bumblebees because it's her symbol that even if you think you can't do it, if you try, with the Lord's help, you can.
Amen.
The Transformer?
How long was that?